I grew up on the internet. From AIM to Zanga, from MySpace to Facebook to Instagram and beyond, I was all the way plugged in. Until one day I decided that I wanted out. I did not want to be a part of social media anymore because I needed a break. So my New Year's resolution for 2019 was to take a year-long break from social media. And I learned a lot about myself during that year. So as usual, since nobody asked, I thought I would share. So here are 5 things I learned from quitting social media for a year.
Doesn't mean less when you make that sound. Come at me best when you spread shit round. Only works well when you ponder spontaneity.
Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm in a video making groove, y'all, so if you'd like to stay connected and see future videos, make sure to subscribe before you head out. You can also comment, like, and share this video if you're in the mood. I say it's an honor to hear from you because it is, so make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, thanks. So there are a few reasons why I decided to take a break from social media. First and foremost was the time. I could no longer justify the amount of time I was spending on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat, both consuming and prepping content to post on these platforms. And I never got that into Twitter, so Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat were my main platforms. Logically, I knew that in order for me to have more time in my day, which I was always looking for anyways, I knew I had to greatly reduce or cut out altogether the amount of time I was spending on social media. Secondly, I love a good challenge. I had heard of people doing it before, and I remember thinking, wow, I don't think I could ever do that. And then when I told people what I was doing, they were saying similar things like, how could you ever live without it? I kept wondering, what would my life be like once I'm off the grid? Would I even exist anymore? So I had to find out what it felt like to live without it. I love challenging myself, and this was a great test of self-control, at least in the beginning. And third, I don't like being addicted to anything. And the obsession with social media was just about at that point for me. At the very least, it was a strong compulsion. I'd wake up in the morning and the first thing I would do was to check my notifications and do some scrolling. I wanted to murder that compulsion, so I went cold turkey on January 1st of 2019. The spell has been broken. So besides my 2 YouTube channels, I don't have any other social media accounts. And honestly, I don't even think I could go back to the way things used to be. So without further ado, here are the 5 things I learned from quitting social media for a year. Number 1, after getting off social media, I had such a sense of clarity, and that's the best way I can find to describe it. And I never thought I, as a Nigerian, would ever say this, but maybe sometimes we should stop reading. Stop reading any and everything, any rando post on social media. It's about balance, you know? Because I'm not against research or learning about the perspective of others, but man, I thought about how much time I spent just doing this, reading other people's ideas and feelings and thoughts, and I figured there is no way this isn't having an effect on my own feelings and thought process. And it's time consuming. I realized that my thoughts had been clouded by other people's thoughts from the outside. And when I say clouded, I mean that I was taking in so much outside information into my mind that it became difficult to distinguish my own authentic, genuine reaction from a reaction that was influenced from the outside. That makes sense, right? And I love daydreaming and getting lost in my own thoughts. It's a hobby of mine. By getting off social media, I afforded myself more time to do that. And I feel like because of that, I've had a resurgence of creativity which I had feared that I'd lost, so that was nice. Number 2, the world is much more gray than we care to believe. Have you ever heard the saying that people on the most extreme ends of a belief are usually the loudest or something like that? I definitely agree with that. We all know that social media is a breeding ground for polarization, or at the very least it amplifies it. Since when were there only 2 or 3 sides to any major issue or belief? We create these incredibly large categories to place ourselves into, like Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal, because we expect these labels to communicate more about who we are or who we want to be than any explanation that we could come up with on our own. We expect these labels to communicate our values to others, and we make assumptions about what other people's values are based on their labels, right? When I stopped consuming a ton of polarizing content, I embraced more the fact that people are complicated and we're all messy. And no one label can capture the entire breadth of a person's belief system or values. And just letting go of that need to label people or to place them in either a good or bad bucket was a weight off my shoulders. Partly because I felt I could have more grace with myself. Have you ever played the "Am I a good person" game with yourself? You should try it sometime. I don't think much of the rhetoric that social media fosters allows for enough nuance or grace towards others for us to truly solve the major problems we face as a society. Because regardless of what position people have on an issue, we have to be able to get on the same page before we can move forward and find solutions. And demonizing individuals, cancel culture, or demonizing the entire other side does nothing to achieve that goal. Number 3, I like to be the center of my own universe. Now I know this sounds vain, but stay with me here. I think following other people's lives is weird. And yes, I do understand the irony in me saying that, because here I am talking to the internet about Lord knows what half the time. Don't forget to subscribe though. When did it become normal to consume so much of other people's lives? Why should I spend my life just looking at what other people are doing? Constantly comparing my life to the lives of others was doing nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. And I never liked following celebrities. And I know some people do, but Keziah, I cannot be following Beyonce, Rihanna, them up and down. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Makagene. Why? So they can be telling me every day that my life sucks. Mwemi Kea, I ain't got it in me. There are literally a million better things I could be doing with my time for my own life's improvement. But even following the random assortment of regular ass people that I collected over the years was still something that I was glad to be free from, because not only was it a waste of time, but also would often leave me feeling some type of negative feeling, as if my life wasn't good enough as is for one reason or another. Because this person got this job, this person traveled to this place, this person married so-and-so, this person wrote a book, this person lost weight, this one cooked food, this one went marching, this one did eyebrows well. And we already know this. Since leaving social media, I'm free from the burden of comparison, which I appreciate. It was nice to tune all that out and focus on running my own race. I also noticed that I was able to enjoy a moment that I was experiencing much more when I wasn't thinking about how I was gonna mutilate it and hang it up on social media. And hang it up for what? For validation? Since leaving social media, I feel like I can live much more in the present, and I appreciate moments for what they are, whether or not they're documented. My phone memory, data, and battery all last longer these days as a result. And I'm not saying that I no longer capture important moments in my life. It's just that when I capture these moments now, it's for me to remember and not for me to broadcast on social media. Number 4, I learned who my real relationships were with. I know many people use social media to stay connected to friends and family, and I get it. I'm not judging anyone for that. It's just that for me, the whole thing became kind of shallow. The people who were liking my stuff weren't even people that I was close with, just a random assortment of people that I had collected over the years. These people didn't care about me, and I know that's true because when I was liking things, it was just to maintain this tit for tat liking system that's going on.
I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo.
Since leaving social media, I still share things with friends and family. I just do it directly. Like I'll give a call or a text if I want to share something. I've maintained contact with those that mattered, which to me makes them even more valuable. It does take intentional work though. I don't just sit at home and expect people to come running to me. Of course not. Relationships of all kinds take work. So without having social media as a crutch, I've had to actively work on maintaining relationships. I've had to decide which ones were worth it and which ones were not. Number 5, I cannot save the world, and that's okay because I do what I can. Information has never traveled as quickly as it does today. We are alerted to every natural disaster, every act of terrorism, every civil rights violation, and other tragedies in damn near real time. Before we've had time to process one terrible thing, another terrible thing pops up and slaps us in the face. The world is on fire. There was another mass shooting. There's slavery in Libya. The Rohingya are being persecuted. Trans women are being killed, and natural resources are still being stolen from Africa. I often felt helpless in the face of these huge problems. Like, what was little old me gonna do to save the world? And listen, I don't have anything against knowing what's happening around the world. I do believe it's important for attention to be brought to all the issues that I mentioned. I without a doubt believe in awareness. Social media is a great place to talk about what's wrong in the world, but I wasn't finding many spaces that empower people to take action beyond just resharing or liking a post about the situation. By stepping away from social media, I've been able to think much more clearly about what impact I want to have in this world versus dwelling on the things that I cannot change. For example, I don't think it's going to be me who changes North Korea. I alone cannot put an end to human trafficking, but I can volunteer at a local women's shelter. I can pack food for families in need. I can use my dollars wisely and not support businesses that do more harm than good. I can be kind to refugees. I can vote for local officials that I believe in, and I can show up to a protest for a cause that I support. I'm much more useful to the world offline than I ever was on social media, and I'm okay with that. And I'm not as overwhelmed by the amount of work that needs to be done in this world. So here I am over a year later and still no interest in rejoining the land of social media. The first month was a little rough, but now I can't even imagine being that connected again. The idea feels so weird now. I obviously still use YouTube though. Anyways, what is your relationship with social media like? Have you ever taken a break or quit altogether? What was the outcome? What are the benefits of social media? What do you think is the future of social media? Let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you get an alert when I post my next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.